Thank you. On a crisp Sunday during New York Fashion Week in February, inside a downtown gallery, a buzzy fashion brand called Public School unveiled its fall 2016 collection, and it wasn't just the clothes that had people talking. As models glided by in oversized shirts and cropped leather jackets, their wrists were adorned with metal and nylon wearable technology accessories made using Ulta, Fitbit's latest product offering. This isn't the first time that technology has taken the limelight when it comes to fashion, of course. 2 years ago, Google stole headlines when Diane von Furstenberg paraded glass down the runway. Last year, Google also created buzz when they collaborated with Zach Posen to literally light up the room at New York Fashion Week with Made with Code, an LED dress. And Intel had people talking when they presented Chromat, when they collaborated with Chromat to produce the Adrenaline dress, a 3D printed responsive dress with wings that expand and contract based on the wearer's heart rate. And of course, most recently at the Met Gala, as we saw, this is arguably the Super Bowl of fashion, Claire Danes was the talk of the town in her fiber optic dress made by Zach Posen. IBM got a piece of the action with their cognitive dress worn by Karolina Kurkova. This is made in collaboration with Marchesa. The dress leveraged Watson to analyze sentiments from the event on Twitter and then display this information on the dress in terms of color. So if fashion is about looking forward, and I believe it is, what does it mean that technology is taking over the biggest fashion events of the year? Moreover, what does it mean that we're now beginning to wear our technology? That it's not enough that we just want to hold it or carry it in our purses or pockets, that it's now touching our skin. So my name is Amanda Cosco, and I read wearable technology as a metaphor for our deepening intimacy with digital technology. I'm a journalist focused on the intersection of fashion and tech. These are some of the publications I write for, and I also share my writing, research, and interviews on Electric Runway, other multimedia content as well. So if this conversation interests you, I do invite you to follow me there. I believe we're changing our clothing, and in turn, our clothing is changing us. My interest in wearables and technology worn on the body began when I interviewed a man by the name of Neil Harbison. Just a show of hands, does anyone here know Neil? Heard of him? Okay. So for those of you who don't know, Neil is a self-identified cyborg. He has an antenna osseointegrated into his skull. That means attached to the bone. You see, Neil was born a visual artist, but he was also born with a really rare visual condition called achromatopsia, total color blindness. So imagine being a visual artist and not being able to perceive color. Almost 10 years ago, Neil began a project with a digital agency to extend his senses. And what they came up with was this antenna called the iBorg, which enables him to hear color. That's right, to hear color. So every color gives off a sound frequency, and Neil's iBorg is able to listen to that frequency and deliver this to him via a sound delivered in a vibration in the back of his skull. And what's interesting to me is that Neil's iBorg began as a wearable, a headpiece and a battery pack that he'd carry around with him at all times. But as hardware got smaller and software got smarter, eventually Neil just decided it made sense to implant the antenna in his skull. The latest version includes Bluetooth, so Neil can take a phone call directly to his head. It enables him to perceive colors outside the human spectrum, so he can perceive infrared and ultraviolet. And the interesting thing is that Neil no longer feels that he is wearing technology. He feels that he is technology. In fact, if you were to touch his antenna with your finger, he feels it the same as if you were touching his arm. He sleeps with it, he showers with it, it does not turn off. So meeting Neil and hearing his story made me think, what are we becoming? While we're not all ready to walk around with antennas, there's no doubt that digital technology is becoming an extension of ourselves. So where does fashion come into play? I'm here to argue that fashion has an important lesson to teach technology, and it's not just about aesthetics. Yes, we need our wearables to be prettier if they are going to become more wearable, but more importantly, I believe, fashion needs to teach technology how to regard the body as a canvas for self-expression. So I think this is an important lesson to learn, because right now we are, at this moment in history, redefining the next chapter in our humanity. I believe the fashions of the future are posed to augment our bodies, extend our senses, and enable us to cross a threshold into a new kind of existence. And I think that's pretty badass. And so I know you might be thinking, yeah, right, I've seen this fashion tech that you're speaking of, and it's not all that interesting. And I'll agree, a lot of the consumer products on the market today, even in headline-grabbing collaborations like the one we see here, fashion seems slapped on top of technology like an afterthought. The good news is that it's early days for wearable tech. We are with wearables today where the internet was in 1993, says Amanda Parks of Manufacture New York. So just a quick look at where we are. Up until this point, a lot of the wearables have been stuck on the wrist, and I think that this is because accessories are a safe place in transitioning towards wearing our technology. Up until this point, also, wearables have been stuck in what I call the information age of wearable technology. Many of the wearables on the market today insist on treating the body as matter to be measured and monitored. This is a phenomenon known as the quantified self. And while the quantified self as a term comes from Wired magazine editors Gary Wolfe and Kevin Kelly, I'd argue it also comes from a long and complicated history and perspective of viewing the body as matter. Now, the problem with the quantified self is that it translates the human experience into ones and zeros and mechanizes the human body. In the quantified self, the human body becomes a machine to be calculated and optimized. Now, don't get me wrong, I think that the quantified self has tremendous implications for health and fitness. But in order for wearables to progress, to have them go where we need them to go, I think that technology needs to learn something from fashion, and it's something that fashion has known for a long time. Fashion understands that the body is not just matter. In fashion, the body is central to human experience and a canvas for self-expression. And thankfully, there are some early designers that understand this, and I just want to spend the rest of my time today looking at some examples. So Kristen Neidlinger is a San Francisco-based designer, and she views the body as a sensory interface. She's the founder of Sensory. It's a company that experiments with biomedia and this idea of extimacy, so externalize intimacy. She's most known for her Gur Mood sweater, which is in the top left. The Gur Mood sweater uses galvanic skin response sensors on the palm of your hands and translates this biodata into color displayed on the cowl of the sweater. So red means you're nervous or in love. Blue means you're calm and collected. More recently, Sensory is exploring the sensation of awe. So on the right, we can see awe goosebumps. This is an animatronic skin that amplifies goosebumps and animates awe. On the bottom there, we can see Awe Electric, which is a pair of garments that extends the sensation of awe, allowing you to share the feeling remotely. So basically what happens is when it reads awe on your skin, it uses sound fabric to induce this on the skin of another. And it's inspired by the saying, "That gave me goosebumps. Did you feel it too?" This is Billie Whitehouse. Billie Whitehouse is an Australian designer living in New York, and she told me in an interview that the skin is an underutilized communication system. Her work uses haptic feedback, which is subtle vibrations, to play songs on the body, as she described it to me. So for example, on the right, we have her Navigate jacket. Navigate allows wearers to explore new cities without having to look down at their phone all the time. So you program into it where you want to go, and it uses vibrations on the shoulder pads. If you want to go left or if you need to go right, it'll tell you where to go. And on the left, we have Fundawear, which is this set of underwear for couples in long-distance relationships. It's a collaboration with Durex. And basically, it interfaces with your smartphone and connects via Bluetooth technology to transform touch and gesture into vibrations on the body of the other. So it's like the future of foreplay. So whether it's a song of direction or a song of intimacy, we can see how Billie's work is reframing the body as a surface for communication. The next one I'm sure you've all heard of before, Anouk Vipra. She views the body as a site for interactivity. Her work sits at the intersection of fashion, robotics, and interaction design. Some of her projects here, we have Smoke Dress and Spider Dress. Both of them read the emotional state of the wearer and basically send out emotional signals. The Smoke Dress releases smoke, like an octopus sprays ink or a skunk, and the Spider Dress uses these robotic arms to basically, tell you to get away from the wearer if you're getting too close into her personal space. On the bottom left there, we have a picture that I took of her DrinkBot dress. DrinkBot, it's a playful take on the cocktail dress. It's a dress that pours shots. And it's based on an earlier design called Dare Droid, which invites guests to play a game of truth or dare in exchange for a drink. So as we can see with Anouk's work, it's recasting the body as a site for exchange. Next, we have Nancy Tilbury. Nancy is a veteran fashion tech designer. She regards the body as a canvas for self-expression. On the left, we have two of works that she did, large-scale works with Intel for Lady Gaga's David Bowie performance, as well as the costumes for the Black Eyed Peas World Tour. On the right, we have a more commercial product that she's coming out with. So with EXO, she just completed this hardware accelerator program in San Francisco at PCH Highway 1, and this is a set of connected garments for Generation Z. They're harnessing what they've used on the stage, basically, to come up with commercial products. Last but not least, we have Benoît Ferrari. Benoît Ferrari is an architect and designer positioning the body as expressive. She's most known for Caress of the Gaze. It's a 3D printed cape that acts and reacts based on the gaze of others. So the cape includes a tiny camera which records eye movement and then causes the cape to move and react as if to say, not only I see you, but I see what you're seeing. And of course, this is not an exhaustive list when it comes to fashion tech, but I do want to highlight that it's women making waves when it comes to fashion tech. Just as fashion needs to teach technology how to become more wearable, I believe it's women that are bringing with them emotion and empathy, and it's women who are leading the charge to carve out the next chapter of our humanity, and I think that's pretty kick-ass too. Thanks so much.